In 1983, there was a world record high dive challenge. Five people tied for a world record high diving from a height of 172 feet, or 52.43 meters. The five divers were Mike Foley, Rick Charles, Dana Kunz, Bruce Boccia, and Rick Winters. Mike Foley performed his dive at SeaWorld San Diego. These five people could certainly be said to have taken diving into the deep end to new heights. But when it comes to making a change in their lives, why do so many people find it difficult to simply dive into the deep end? And is it the best strategy for change?
You lose or you win, you sink or you swim. Go diving in the deep end. In the deep end.
Welcome to the Better Humans podcast, the podcast where we dive into actionable strategies for personal growth and change. I'm your host, Greg Pfeiffer, and today we're exploring one of the most powerful frameworks for transformation, the Transtheoretical Model of Change, also known as the Stages of Change model. Now, whether you're trying to break a habit, adopt a new behavior, or make a lasting change in your life, understanding this model can give you a roadmap to follow. It can also help you understand why simply diving into the deep end as a strategy for making a change in your life may not be an effective strategy. However, for now, let's dive into the topic. Making a lasting change in behavior is rarely a simple process. It usually involves a substantial commitment of time, effort, and emotion. When you want to make a change in your life, you have to realize that there is no one solution that works for everyone. You may have to go through a process of trial and error to achieve your goal. Researchers have identified three elements of change. One is readiness to change. Do you have the resources and knowledge to make a lasting change successfully? Two, the barriers to change. So, is there anything preventing you from changing? Three is the likelihood of relapse. What might trigger a return to a former behavior? Understanding the elements of change, the stages of change, and ways to work through each stage can help you achieve your goals. So, what exactly is the Transtheoretical Model of Change? It's a psychological framework developed by James Prochaska and Carlo Di Clementi in the late 1970s to better understand how people change their behavior. In particular, they were looking at quitting smoking. They identified that for many people, change doesn't happen overnight, and it's a gradual process. And most people go through a series of changes when they're trying to make a meaningful change in their lives. Relapses are also a part of the process. There is often a lot of resistance or unwillingness to change in the early parts of the process. Today, we're going to break down each of these stages and discuss how you can apply them to your own life. Whether you're trying to stop smoking, lose weight, improve your mental health, or change any behavior, this model will guide you towards success. It may also help you understand why keeping a New Year's resolution can be so difficult. Okay, so stage one is pre contemplation. So let's start with this stage. This is the stage where you might not even be aware that change is needed. Perhaps you're in denial about a behavior, or maybe you haven't yet acknowledged its negative impact on your life. People in this stage often resist the idea of change because they don't see the problem or don't feel ready. But here's the thing, awareness is the first step. If you're in this stage, it's not about forcing change, but about becoming open to the possibility of transformation. Sometimes all it takes is a moment of reflection to trigger the awareness that something in your life needs to change. And that moment can come from a conversation, a difficult situation, or even something you read. So, in summary, the characteristics of stage one are denial and ignorance of the problem. The strategies to move through this stage are rethinking your behavior, analyzing yourself and your actions. We have talked about this previously, and assessing the risks of your current behaviors. Stage two. Next, we move to contemplation. At this stage, you're aware that change is needed, but you're not ready to take action just yet. You might be weighing the pros and cons, thinking about the benefits of making the change versus the challenges it'll bring. In this stage, the cost of change seems to predominate. Often you view change as a process of losing something rather than gaining something. This stage can feel like you're stuck in a mental tug of war. But here's a secret: it's okay. This is a natural part of the process. However, it can create a strong sense of ambivalence about the need for change. And people can remain in this stage for months or even years. If you're here, you're already on the right path. A great tip at this stage is to start setting small, achievable goals or gather information about how to make the change. Remind yourself of why you want to change and try and identify the barriers to change at this time. If you're feeling overwhelmed, remember, you don't have to have everything figured out right now. Simply acknowledging the need for change is a huge step forward. So, in summary, the characteristics of stage two are ambivalence and conflicted emotions. Strategies to move through this stage are to weigh up the pros and cons of behavior change, confirm your readiness and ability to change, and identify barriers to change. Stage three. Once you've spent some time contemplating change, you'll move into the preparation stage. Here, you're mentally preparing to make the change. You're ready to take action, but you need a plan. At this point, people start setting specific goals and creating a roadmap for how to achieve them. You might also begin making some small changes in your life to help prepare for the larger change you are planning to make. In this stage, think about what tools or support you need. So maybe it's finding a workout friend, joining a group, or even seeking professional help. This is where you lay the foundation for your journey. Gather information about ways to change your behavior. Prepare a list of motivating statements can also be a useful tool here. The key here is planning. A good plan can help keep you grounded and focused when you hit obstacles down the road. Write down your goals to help cement them in your mind. So, in summary, the characteristics of stage three are experimenting with small changes, collecting information about change. The strategies to move through this stage are to write down your goals, prepare a plan of action, and make a list of motivating statements. Stage four. Now we enter the action stage. You've made the decision, you're prepared, and now it's time to take tangible steps. Now, whether this means going to the gym, quitting smoking, even starting therapy, this is when you begin to make visible changes in your behavior. And this is the point where resolutions often fail because the previous steps have been skipped over or haven't been given enough time. And this is especially the case with those last minute New Year's resolutions. Action is taken, but that behavior is not sustained because you weren't ready to make the change. But, and this is crucial, the action stage requires consistency. Change doesn't happen overnight, and you'll face setbacks along the way. But don't get discouraged. Action means you're actively engaging in the change process, and every small step counts. Remember, this stage requires energy and focus. Celebrate your wins, but also be kind to yourself when things don't go according to plan. Progress is not linear. Reinforcement and support are extremely important in maintaining your new behaviors. Take time to review your motivations, resources, and progress to reinforce your commitment to change and your belief in your abilities. So, in summary, the characteristics of stage 3 are direct actions towards a goal. The strategies to move through this stage are to reward your successes and to seek out social support. Stage 5. So now you've done it. You've made significant changes in your life. Welcome to the maintenance stage. Here, the goal is to sustain your new behavior and prevent relapse and your former behaviors. During this stage, people become more assured that they will be able to maintain their changed behavior. And it's important to reinforce the positive changes you've made and integrate them into your daily routine. Now, this stage can sometimes feel like a test because old habits or triggers might come back into play. So look for ways to avoid temptation. Also, reward yourself when you're able to resist a relapse. But if you do misstep, don't be too hard on yourself or give up. Maintaining your new behaviors is all about consistency, and commitment to the long term is key. Continue to use the tools and support that helped you in the action stage. So, in summary, the characteristics of stage 5 are maintenance of the new behavior, avoiding temptation. And the strategy to move through this stage are to develop coping strategies to overcome temptation and remember to reward yourself for avoiding temptations. Stage 6 is termination. This is the final stage of change in changing your behavior, but it's not a stage that everyone will reach. In fact, most people do not reach this stage, but remain in stage 5, maintenance, for long periods or even indefinitely. People who reach this stage now have zero temptation to relapse and have 100% self efficacy. No matter what the situation, you are confident that you will not experience a relapse and return to your previous behaviors as a way of coping. The previous bad habit has been totally removed from your armory of behaviors. Progressing to stage 6 represents the end of this journey of change and transformation, as there will be no relapses or regressions. However, it is not the end of your journey of change and transformation, as there's always habits and behaviors that can be worked on to make you a better human. And this is a process of continual self improvement. Now, let's talk about relapses and regressions. Now, a relapse is when you return to the old habits you were trying to change. A regression is when you drop back to a previous stage of change, and often the two go hand in hand. It's something that often happens. It's normal to slip up or find yourself returning to old habits. In fact, it's so common and it's just part of the process. But the important thing is how you handle it. If you find yourself relapsing, don't be discouraged. Relapse doesn't mean failure. It's just a sign that you may need to return to the earlier stages, maybe revisiting contemplation, preparation, or action. What matters is how quickly you get back on track and learn from your experience. When a relapse happens, you may have feelings of failure disappointment, and frustration. Remind yourself that it was just a minor setback and acknowledge that relapses are part of the process of change. Review the situation and try and identify what triggered the relapse and how can you avoid the triggers in the future. Reassess your resources and plan and review your motivations. Regressions can be a positive response to a relapse, and going back through the previous stages can help you get back on track. Regressions may also be the result of external factors that derail your plans to progress and change, or a change in life priorities. Sometimes there is a loss of motivation that leads to a regression. So, revisiting your reasons for change and motivations can be a useful strategy here. So, in summary, the characteristics can be disappointment, frustration, and feelings of failure. The strategies to move through relapses and regressions are to identify the triggers that lead to the relapse, recognize what your barriers to success are, reaffirm your goal and commitment to change, recognize that relapse and regressions do happen often, and use a regression to work through a previous stage and reaffirm your motivation. Resolutions usually fail because the proper preparation and actions have not been taken. Understanding the stages of change can help you prepare for a change and make your behavior change sustainable. While using the Transtheoretical model can help drive personal change, some limitations with the model have been identified. One, it assumes that the person has the capability to make rational, logical decisions and take actions. Two, it discounts contextual factors such as your income, class, occupation. And three, there are no defined start and end points or durations to delineate each stage of the overall process. So, to wrap up, let me say this. The trans theoretical model of change is about understanding that change is a process. It's not linear, it's not perfect, but it's worth it. If you're ready to transform your life, remember that it's about progress, not perfection. And mostly it's about consistency. Wherever you are in the stages, it's important to embrace each step with patience and perseverance because you've got this. Thank you for tuning in to the Better Humans podcast. I hope this episode on the trans theoretical model of change has inspired you to start your own journey of transformation. If you like this episode, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. You can also email me at contact@thebetterhumansproject.com. Remember, change is possible one step at a time. So until next time, keep moving forward.